So I started this about over 20 years ago with Tim, my brother, a non-exclusive speaker bureau. And we've grown to become certainly one of the biggest speaker bureaus in Europe, if not in the world. And along that journey, I've had the privilege of being a president of the International Association of Speaker Bureaus. I was a founding president of the European Association of Speaker Bureaus. And I've developed a network and an appreciation in the industry, which means that I like to think I have a voice to help grow the industry as a whole place. And along the way, I was privileged enough to start a management company called Speaking Office, where we were coming from the other side in order to help speakers develop their careers.
Joining and setting up Speaking Office 10 years ago and running a management company has been an interesting experience. We started with a couple of speakers, and 10 years later, we manage on an exclusive basis over 60 speakers. And what's fascinating about it is taking those speakers on a journey, is seeing how they develop, is working with them in a proactive fashion to ensure that their speaking careers have longevity to them. We're not, it's not a personal, I'm not interested in a flash in the pan and someone who's going to get lots of speaking inquiries and bookings over a 6-month period, because you can't develop a relationship with them. And to me, that is the integral thing about what we do and what I do as a speaker manager. It's about working with really talented individuals and making sure their voice is heard, and that their voice is heard for an extended period of time.
So I first started out managing speakers like 20 years ago, when there was only, I think at that stage, there was only 2 or 3 management companies on the entire planet. And the thing about managing speakers, Michael, as you would know, is that, a percentage of nothing is still nothing. And so, you've got to figure out how to get good. You've got to figure out how to get good quickly. Otherwise, not only do you lose your talent, but you're going to lose the business. And so what we had to do as a team was figure out, all right, what works? How do we take talented individuals? How do we take amazing ideas? How do we take, raw talent on stage? And how do we package that together and get it out there in the marketplace so that this individual, the impact that they want to make, gets the most amount of traction as fast as humanly possible. And then from there, since co-founding Ode, I've spent the majority of my time over the past 10 years launching speakers around the world, launching and advising speakers around the world. Some of those are CEOs, some of them are politicians, some of those are movie actors. And again, what does it take to take an incredible human being, an incredible idea, put it together and get it out there at scale? And during that time, I've worked with some of the top 1% of professional speakers on the planet. And again, probably similar to you, Michael, it kills me to see an incredible idea die just from a lack of a roadmap as to how to get it out there quickly and effectively, because you're stood there as a human being with a heart watching another human being going, I know what you could be. Like, I can see it. I can see exactly what this could be. And, if for want of just doing the right things in the right order over the right period of time, you could have made a massive impact on the planet. And I think for me, that's what Future Voices is about. It's about decoding that journey and getting it out there to the right people so they can make the level of impact and the business that they're capable of making.
So let me take us down to specifics for Future Voices. What actually are we going to be delivering on today? And I think the starting place for me is the elevation of ideas and the understanding about how to give quality of content doesn't start just on stage. It starts months, weeks, years, whichever order beforehand. Go on.
I was going to say, I think that there's this foundational piece, that everybody misses. They want to just launch quick. Let's get into it. I want bookings, I need bookings. And there's this piece that unless you get that right, nothing else will happen, or it won't have any longevity to it. You've got to get these foundational pieces in. You've got to figure out what space you want to own. You've got to be able to communicate that with impact. I am an expert in a way that people can repeat and it doesn't lose any impact. You then need to translate that into, okay, this is my unique positioning. Okay, how am I going to promote that? What do my marketing materials need to look like so I can represent the space that I own, but also the fee that I charge. Then how do I kill it on stage? How the signature presentation that's going to get me booked and rebooked over time, that's going to be cutting edge. And then after that, how do I own a platform? How do I really own a platform? Is it a podcast? Is it a book? How do I stand out as the leading voice in the space?
I think my thing is the fact that I seem to be saying this so much to a lot of speakers who are coming on, is that 80%, if not 90% of the game is nothing to do with them on stage.
No.
They can do it. You're not turning up. Exactly. And I think what you're saying is key. It's
and that's what Future Voices aims to bring to life. That's what we're trying to do. Is actually we will give you that 80% of the job because you already know the 20%.
Yeah. And I think it is this roadmap. And I think, from all of our experience, from working with speakers, working with a speaker bureau, it's not a case that one size fits all, but you do need to have some form of roadmap in place so that you can start mapping something out. And it may be, as I say, one speaker does certain things that is completely different to another speaker, but it can't just be a scattergun approach, because in the long run, it doesn't work.
And there is also a language, right?
Yeah.
There's a language that bureau agents speak,
Yes.
which we all think is really normal.
Yes.
But actually, outside of this
Exactly.
industry,
It's not known.
no, there's a language that agents speak, there's a language that managers speak, there's a language that clients speak, there's a shorthand language that if you can become fluent in that language, that alone will get you, 80% of the way, because you actually know who you're trying to attract. And one of the things that I'm really, really passionate about right now, and this is in terms of how the industry has changed, and that is, it used to be that if you wanted to build a career as a speaker, if you wanted to build a sustainable business as a speaker, you would used to have to say, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be away from home 200 nights a year.
Yeah.
That's just a decision that I'm going to have to make. My family's going to have to make. This is what it's going to look like. And the only way that I can earn more money, the only way that I can make a larger impact or get bigger in the world is if I just travel more. And now that has completely shifted. Now there are ways of building digital products. There are ways of building mastermind subscription models, membership models, all of these different business strategies that mean that you as a speaker can use the stage the way that it should be used, which is to invite people into your world where there is a plethora of other ways that they can work with you that don't involve you necessarily having to speak that don't involve you necessarily having to travel unless you want to.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting when we look at it kind of from an international perspective also. We all have experience of working with clients, be that direct clients or bureaus in different countries, and every country works differently. And I think one of the things that we bring is that knowledge of the different markets. And, especially, Jules, you've worked across, in Australia, the US, and now in Europe. And that is integral because the world is smaller. We can reach different markets, but it's how do we position ourselves and what learnings can we provide you with that helps you to ensure that you are doing the right things in those different markets.
And you're right, the world is smaller. You can speak globally, and people can, I've had speakers who have been booked by a video that someone found on YouTube. That didn't happen 20 years ago. They've been booked in another country the other side of the world. But to speak to your point, the world is smaller. However, every culture requires something different. And, let me tell you, to launch a speaker in Asia Pacific, it takes very, very different materials and a very, very different strategy than it takes to launch a speaker in the US and Europe as well. And you guys, you know this market inside out. So if you want to speak internationally, you have to know how the strategy has to change.
But the critical part of that is you're making that decision up front about what type of speaker you want.
What type of business you want.
What type of business you want. That's beautiful. It's like, I want to be in this business, and this is the type of business I want to build for myself. How do I do that? And I think that's development for me over when Tim and I started kind of Speaker's Corner over 20 years ago. What excited us wasn't starting a new business in this industry. It was the fact there was this industry in its infancy, which we could get involved in and help shape the industry.
Yeah.
And that's almost, I suppose, from my perspective, and now grandiose, but that's the opportunity of Future Voices. Is kind of we've learnt, we've all individually learnt in terms of our time, and now we want to share that with people so we can go to the next level.
Yes.
And that's what the opportunity is here for.
And I just, that term next level, like that's my jam.
Yeah.
So like 80s pop song.
Yeah,
that's my jam. That term next level, I love that because for me that's what it's about. what does next level look like? What does next level look like for your topic? What does next level look like for your business, for your family, for the impact that you want to make in the world, for how alone you feel in this journey, or how connected and how you lift each other up? Like that term, I think for me, if you want to sum Future Voices up, it's that. It's what does next level look like and how do we get there as quickly and as seamlessly as we possibly can.
So when I think about Future Voices, I reflect back on when I started, and we used to say we can't guarantee a speaker to a client because who knows what they're going to be like on the day. And actually over the years, we've realised that our job is to guarantee the speaker. And the thing about Future Voices to me is we are in a place where almost we are guaranteeing someone who comes on the course the opportunity to be booked off the back of it and then potentially launch their career forevermore. Now, for the amount they're paying for this one-day fast-track course, it's almost a no-brainer.
No, I think that is a guarantee. Like if you come in the room with us for a day and we give you everything that we have learned, everything that we know about how to make it as a speaker, how to go to the next level, how to get consistent streams of bookings in. And from that day, if you can't take one thing that's going to get you one extra booking, then, that's not because we haven't brought our A game. Our mission is to bring you everything that day that you'll be able to take and turn it into bookings. And so the investment is an absolute no-brainer. I would have dreamt of this when I was starting my career.
And I think it's difficult for, a speaker in general, it's them, it's their business. Do I want to invest in myself in any marketing? From our perspective, or from my perspective as a speaker manager, it's integral. That investment brings you more bookings. It can result in a huge uplift in the number of jobs that you do during the space of a year. And then when you look back at it, you think, actually, it was worthwhile. Why did I question it in the first place?
I mean, if I were to say to you, pay this amount and you will learn everything you need to know, you will take at least 2 years off your journey, save yourself thousands of pounds, meet all the right people in the room that you need in order to get booked, and have a community around, meet some like-minded people who can cheer you along the way. That for me, that is a no-brainer investment in your business.
It pays for itself.
100%.
And more.
Yeah.